Good day, all. We'll service 2017 to 2020 Fox transfer post, same as RockShox Turbine R for Race Face Turbine R up prior to 2021. So yeah, I'm just gonna remove this seat clamp. The hardest part of the job. These are all the tools we'll need over here. They're not much. Unfortunately, they're all expensive and specific to the transfer post, but it's not a huge number of tools. We'll drill out this tamper-proof pellet and then pick it out with a pick. Oh, it came out on its own, but normally you pick it out. And then remove this actuator assembly. When it's really tight, you want to remove the pin and the E-clip so that you're grabbing on the actual die-cast part, and because otherwise you'll break it. And we'll extend it, circlip out, boom. 8mm shaft clamps, using the Fox Forks number 2 for this. Olin's also has them, 8mm. Paint Week also has them. WSS also has them. And then this piece has a ball bearing to locate it inside the lower post. And I always scratch that point because this ball bearing can fall out, which it just did. Okay, and we'll put this tool in. All comes apart. Brass keys, set them aside. Lower bushing. 2018 to 2020 model years have an Energizer O-ring here. 2017 doesn't. Okay, so now we'll let out the gas pressure. It's the side with just a set screw that you use for release. I remember that because that side only has one feature, i.e. it's the first step. And then when the second step, which is inflating, we're going to be using the other hole. I like to use this hole, the one that's not threaded, to push this down, the seal head. Ooh. This is still pressurized somehow. There's the ball bearing, the sealing ball bearing is still in there. It'll shoot out. Okay, so I just put that back in so it doesn't shoot out. Wait, check again. We'll just release the pressure by carefully dumping the oil out from the top. I'm only doing this because there's very little pressure. Nice and the oil is nice and foamy. Don't want to release it too fast because it blows up. Okay. Press down on that. Move the circlip over to these holes so that you can reach under. And then need an M6 bolt for that. Using an M6, comes out. Then we'll push out this piston rod assembly. There's some oil in the back side of this, so you want to do it over that. Okay, and now I can take out this seal head, which I would have done earlier normally. And then need an M3 or M4, I think. Sometimes need to thread it into both of those holes. Other times you can get it out. Yep, this is stuck. We'll cut that out. It's fine.
I think you should leave it in.
The floor is soft. So you kind of alternate on these, pulling on these, it comes out, and then I like to just hit this on the end bolt. That's the ball bearing for the ceiling. That's the second one. It's the IFP circlip. Then we use a wooden dowel. Just push the IFP out. And that's that. We'll wipe it down. It's not scratched, shockingly. Okay, so that's good. We'll start replacing the seals. I'm going to be using MTB hydraulics kit for the seals. It's almost the same as the stock one, OEM, except with a slight improvement. Normally it's easier to get these in. Yes, that's good. And this goes in that orientation. I use this to kind of center it and help it down. And this goes in the bottom circlip groove. Okay, so we'll set that aside. this inner seal head seal, MTB hydraulics kit has a quad ring instead of the stock O-ring. A little bit more durable. We'll pop that in. And then the smaller of the two seals goes on the bottom, and the bigger one goes on the top. And then we'll plug the pressure release port. Okay, next we'll do this. I like to remove this top cap first. Pushing back on it so the spring doesn't go flying. Dump out the ball bearing. And I use a Nipex. Make sure I'm just on this smooth surface. Just do carefully, make sure it's tight. This piston. The actuator rod. For 2017, this seal was slightly smaller, and they beefed it up for the years after that, I think. The MTB hydraulics kit has two sizes, and always just start with the thicker one. And I get this on like that. And then if your post, the thicker one is too tight for your post, just go to the thinner one. So that goes in like that. Carefully push that in. Push it all the way in after putting in the ball bearing. Oh, the Allen key is magnetized. New spring. Orientation of the washer goes on so that the shoulder locates it on this piece. This is a part that's easy to mess up. Getting that cap started. Don't crank on this too much. It'll crack the plastic washer. And then this plastic top out piece needs to stay there. Remove this. Boom. Okay, so that's done. We'll just do the top cap, the last piece. Let's just rest that over there. Put the other one in the groove. Boom. Okay, so the IFP is already in there. I'm just gonna, I like to push the IFP down actually. It's all the way down. So it's easier to find that hole. And then I use the valve depressing tool. Actually, oh. Well, that's funny. Circlip wasn't in properly. It's important the same circlips go back in the same grooves. Not all of them are the same cross section wire diameter. And most of them are 1 millimeter wire diameter, and there's one that's 1.2. Okay, so that's good. Now the IFB is all the way out, so that's fine. We're using the 1.5 weight Fox fluid. We're going to cycle that a little bit. We're purging the bottom of the piston, or underneath the piston. Okay, top that up a little bit. Good enough. I'll set the IFP. Top this up. Put the top cap in place. Then I used M6 to pull out the top cap so it sits up against the circlip. I create a little dam with my fingers to top it up. Move it side to side. Get all the air out. With the newer posts, I actually use a proper bleeding syringe, 2021 and newer, because that hole is so small, the bubbles can't come out from surface tension. Okay, gently tighten that. snug that up. Remove the valve depressor. Put all this on. To use some 20 weight gold or float fluid in there. Just a couple drops. Press that down. Last circlip. And then I need to push it back out so it sits right against the circlip. Sorry, pull it back out. The M3. Okay. Now we'll inflate to, it's a very delicate step, inflating to 275 psi for 2018 to 2020 model years, 400 for 2017. But most posts will use 275 because they have the updated piston. Okay. Drop in the ball bearing. And plug it. It's not supposed to leak without the plug, but for long-term sealage, it's better to have it in place. And then test it. I like to also test it to make sure it doesn't sag. So that's good. Wipe it down. I usually just clean the wiper and put it back. If they're in rough shape, then replace it. But RockShox Reverb never replaced these, so I reckon it's good enough. Using isopropyl alcohol, 99% for cleaning. This upper bushing on. This one's not worn, it's still quite tight, so that's good. Lower bushing, it's fine. And I like to clean this out, especially the shoulder up here for the wiper. Clean out the circlip groove. Boom. Clean the brass keys. And they use Slickoleum or dynamic seal grease from RockShox. Use the grease for sticking these keys in place. And wiggle that on. The back of the post will have one key oriented like that, so that's easy to remember. And I like to put as much grease in here as possible. There's a seal driver which is better than this, but I don't have it here. And this also works. So that's good. Seal driver is not a big deal for this newer seal, or so newer bushing, because it has those teeth at the top. So the wiper actually pushes that in. We'll install the bottom support. Not too tight. So ball bearing needs to go back into the hole that I marked. Okay, and then it always engages with the slot in the back of the post. That way the actuator will line up nicely. Like carefully tighten this. Doesn't even line up because I'm scared to go a bit farther, but it's good enough. Just spray her down and she's good to go. Boom.